Next, a discussion of the gINT Output tab. Similar to the gINT Input tab, gINT Output has several tabs available, each addressing a different report format. This is a screenshot pointing out the Logs tab. What reports are available for users on the Logs tab? The Core Box Photo Log, the Engineer's Log, Fence Log reports intended for placement on cross-sections and profile plans, the Inspector's Field Log, Test Pit Log, as well as the Rock Graphic Symbol Legend and the Soil Graphic Symbol Legend. Note that the graphic symbol legends on the Logs tab are compiled by boring. For legends compiled for a project, the Graphic Text Document tab is used. This will be discussed later. The first report on the Logs tab is the Core Box Test Pit 1 Photo Log. This is an example of the report with 1 photo per page. This is an example of the Core Box Test Pit 2 Photo Log report containing 2 photos per page. This is an example of a test pit photo log with 2 photos per page. Note that it is essentially the same as the Core Box Photo Log with the exception of the title change. The 1 photo per page report is also available. To create the desired Core Box Test Pit Photo Log, click on the Output tab, then click on the Logs tab and select the desired boreholes, the preferred report. Click on the Export to File location and select the file name and folder and click on Save. Indicate if you'd like to create a PDF with each dataset saved to an individual file or if you'd like to create 1 PDF file. Click on Export and then view the PDF of the reports. Please click on the screen and then click on Play to view a video demonstrating creating a Core Box Photo Log report. This is a sample engineer's log created using PennDOT's gINT library. Please click on the screen and then click on Play to view a video on creating the engineer's log. Note that typically an engineer's log would be created for each boring and then placed in the geotechnical report. The PE seal on the engineer's log can be added through Adobe. Until electronic signature procedures are in place for PennDOT documents, the PDF will need to be printed and the original signature added to the document. Scanned copies of the signed documents would then be included in reports. An e-signature process is under development, and users on PennDOT's gINT subscription list will be notified when it is available. Similar to the engineer's log, the inspector's field log can be produced using PennDOT's gINT library, and the test pit logs can also be produced. The structure boring logs can also be created using the gINT library. Users will need to create individual PDFs of the structure boring log for each boring and then place them on the structure boring sheets. How are borings to be placed on the structure boring sheets? For PennDOT employees, an internal application is available for placing structure borings on the structure boring plan sheets. Go to the PennDOT intranet, click on Systems, and then on gINT. From there, PennDOT users should click on the PennDOT Structure Boring Log Report Builder link to open the application. PennDOT users will be asked to browse for PDF files, the boring location plan, structure borings, and lab test summaries. The application will automatically place the PDF files on the structure boring sheets. When using the Structure Boring Log Report Builder on the intranet, please read the instructions on the help screen before entering data. After opening the Structure Boring Log Report Builder, begin data entry for the Structure Boring Log Report Builder by clicking on Create a New Boring Sheet. Users should take care to prepare individual PDFs of each structure boring when exporting the reports from gINT. Please click on the slide and then on play to view a video for creating individual PDF files of each structure boring log. Note that only a handful of the borings available in the file are selected in the video. All borings that are to be placed on the structure boring plan sheet need to be exported to PDF. For large projects, the gINT project file may contain structure borings for several structures. Users may manually select the appropriate borings, or they may use the output filtering tools available on the gINT Output tab to capture the appropriate borings. Users are cautioned. If Mark All is selected for output of structure borings from a project file containing borings for several structures, then all of the borings in the project file will be in the PDF output, not just the borings corresponding to the structure plans or structure boring logs being developed. Users are to create individual PDFs of applicable lab test summaries with the borings corresponding to the structure plans. That is, that the lab test summary reports include information only from the borings corresponding to the structure and structure plans. The pertinent boring logs may be selected manually or filtered via the Output tab to use only the borings applicable for the specific structure plans and structure boring logs. Lab test summaries are to be included on the structure boring plan sheets. Due to the coding for the PennDOT Structure Boring Log Report Builder, lab test summaries for soil and rock will be placed on a separate sheet. Please reference Strike-Off Letter 481-1504, PennDOT Next Generation CAD Efficiency, Plan Set Delivery of Preference if you have concerns relative to including additional sheets. The appropriate general notes output reports and core boring layout should also be in PDF format. General notes are produced using the Graphic Table tab and will be discussed later. Please click on the screen and then on play to view a video demonstrating the use of the Structure Boring Log Report Builder. Note that only PennDOT personnel currently have the ability to use the Structure Boring Log Report Builder. The procedure for placing structure boring logs on structure boring plan sheets is different for business partners. Business partners should raster reference the PDF files onto the structure boring plan sheet. Detailed instructions for placing structure boring logs on the structure boring plan sheets using MicroStation are available on PennDOT's gINT webpage. Please note that lab testing information is to be displayed on the structure boring plan sheets. The information may be placed as spaces available on the plan sheets, but it must be included. The Logs tab contains fence reports intended for use on soil profile plans and cross-sections. This is a screenshot of the output screen showing the Logs tab with the PennDOT fence log with compact format selected. This is an example of a typical fence log with compact format intended for placement on soil profile plans or on cross-sections. Please click on the screen and then click on play to view a video for creating soil fences for export to DGN. Note that the scale factors on the Input Project tab need to be entered. The soil fence output report uses the scale factors to properly scale the fence to match the soil profile or cross-section plans. Typically, all borings intended for soil profile plans or cross-section would need to be exported to DGN. Remember, soil fences on the Output Logs tab are intended for use on soil profile plans and cross-section. Limited space may be available for placing the more detailed compact fences, so detailed fences may reference the less detailed representative soil fences on the profile. Two types of fences are available for use on cross-sections of profile plans when the typical, more detailed soil fence cannot fit in the location. These slimmer fences are placed on the soil profile or cross-section, and then the detailed, typical soil fence compact format references the representation using a leader line. This slide provides two examples where the detailed fence log with compact format cites the representative fence. When exporting the soil fences to MicroStation, please use PennDOT's roadway us2dc.dgn file to maintain formatting. Detailed instructions for exporting soil fences are available on PennDOT's gINT webpage. The instructions on the webpage also contain information for obtaining PennDOT seed files. Users may reference Chapter 5 Soil Profile Plans of DM3 for additional information. This is an example of the PennDOT fence log with elevation. Note that this report was intended for reporting single fences. This report would not typically be used on soil profile plans. This is an example of the rock graphic symbol legend produced using the rock graphic symbol legend report on the Output Logs tab. Note that the legends created on the Logs tab are by boring and are not for the entire project. This is an example of a soil graphic symbol legend. This particular report shows the graphic symbols used for soils on a selected boring. For a reporting of the soil's graphic symbols for an entire project, please use the reports on the Output Graphic Text Docs tab. This slide shows a screenshot of gINT's Output Fences tab. Fence reports from the Fence tab are intended for creating subsurface profiles. Soil fences similar in format to the fence log with compact format found on the Logs tab are plotted by coordinates and elevation to view the subsurface profile of the pertinent borings. Users should be aware overlapping of information is likely to occur with the various reports on the Fence tab. Therefore, users will need to take care in selecting the borings that appear in the subsurface profiles, and users should be aware that they may need to adjust scales to have fences fit in the report and be readable. When users create the Output Fence tab reports, gINT will prompt the user to enter information that will be placed on the title block for the subsurface profile fence report. This includes the subsurface profile name, the substructure unit, if applicable, and substructure profile scales, if used. Various fence formats are available on the Fences tab. Acid-bearing rock fence, basic fence, graphic fence, lab test fence, lab tests with N60 recovery RQD, legend for fence reports, PennDOT N60 recovery RQD bar graph fence, PennDOT N60 recovery RQD fence, the simplified fence, PennDOT soils lab with N60 recovery RQD, PennDOT standard fence plot. Users should view the various reports and should select the report format according to the amount and type of information which best demonstrates the pertinent issues with the subsurface conditions. This is a sample subsurface profile using the standard subsurface fence plot report format. Please click on the screen and click on play to view a video demonstrating how to create the PennDOT standard fence plot report. Please click on the slide and then click on play to view a video for creating a legend that is to be used in conjunction with the subsurface profile soil fence tab reports. If desired, a 3D or isometric view can be created for the reports on the Fences tab by entering a viewing angle. Currently, the graph and histogram tabs are not used. They will be used when future enhancements for reporting of lab test data are implemented. The gINT Graphics Tables tab is for creating lab summary reports, general notes, and legends. This is a screenshot of the gINT Graphic Tables tab. What reports are available on the Graphic Tables tab? General notes, the lab summary for structures for plans and reports, lab summary electrochemical, labs during consolidation for plans and reports. Additional reports include lab summary for acid-bearing rock, lab summary for rock core for plans and reports, lab test summary for roadway for plans and reports, PennDOT summary of tests performed, PennDOT borehole grouting log, PennDOT legend for soil profile plans, and the pile installation information table. Reports on the Graphic Tables tab are intended to report tables of data from the project file. Note that for large projects with several structures or roadway sections, the graphic tables will report all applicable information from the project file. Therefore, it may be necessary for the user to filter the data on the Output tab to report the information for a particular S number. The user may also manually select the applicable borings to select pertinent information to be reported in the tables. The Graphic Tables tab includes 3 General Notes reports to be placed on the structure borings. Please note that the 3 General Notes formats are needed since the requirements for the first sheet of the borings, the second to the next to the last sheet of the borings, and the last sheet of the borings have differences. For example, the General Notes and Legend for Sheet 1 has the verification block for the geotechnical engineer, as well as the initial block to verify that the data accurately represents the conditions. General Notes Sheet 2 has the block for initials. General Notes for the last sheet contains only the lab summaries, so no signature or initials are required. Here are some examples of the differences in the General Notes reports. This is an example of a lab summary for structure report sized for geotechnical reports. This is the same data, but in a lab summary structure plans report format that is in a size intended for placement on the last sheet of the structure borings. Users may place lab test summaries as space is available on the structure boring plan sheets, eliminating the need for a plan sheet devoted strictly to testing information. However, the lab test summaries for soil and rock are to be included on the structure boring plan sheets. A summary of electrochemical testing is also available. The table will compute if the lab test results indicate corrosive conditions for soil or concrete. A lab summary containing consolidation parameters intended for use in roadway reports is available. And a corresponding summary of the lab test information is available for placement on roadway cross-sections and soil profile plans. A summary of lab test information with grain size distribution and classification intended for roadway reports is also available. A corresponding lab test summary for placement on roadway cross-sections or profile plans adjacent to the shear and consolidation summary is also available. A lab test summary table, potential acid-bearing rock, is available, as well as a summary of the test results performed on the rock core. The lab test summary rock core is identical to the lab summary for the 8.5 by 11 format, but is intended for placement on the final sheet of the structure borings adjacent to the lab test data for the soils for the structure. Note that this summary was done for all borings on the project and contains test information for several structures. To limit the information displayed to a specific structure, the user may use the filtering options available on the gINT Output tab, or the user can select the pertinent borings for the structure plans. An at-a-glance summary of all the lab testing performed for a project is available on the Graphic Tables tab. The pile installation information table for DM4 section 1.7.5.2 can be created with PennDOT's gINT library. Please note that the pile installation information table is to be placed on the general note sheet of the structure plans, not on the structure borings. This is a screenshot showing the Output Text Tables tab. The Output Text Tables tab has a few reports which are intended for export of soils and rock lab test data to an Excel spreadsheet for further analysis. Unless users are looking for trends in lab test results or to perform further calculations on lab test results, these reports will not be used. The Graphic Text Document tab is used to create graphic symbol legends for geotechnical reports and plans. 3 reports are available: gINT Legend for Plans, which contains all the rock graphic symbols and the graphic symbols used in the soils descriptions of the project file. The gINT Legend for Plans is intended for use on roadway cross-sections or profiles. The legend Rock Symbols 8.5 by 11 displays all of the rock graphic symbols for the project. The legend Soil Symbols Project 8.5 by 11 displays all the soils graphic symbols specified for the project. This is a sample legend for graphic symbols intended for placement on plans. This is a sample legend rock symbols. It contains all the rock graphic symbols. This is a legend soil symbols report containing all of the graphic symbols for soil used in a gINT project file. This is a screenshot demonstrating the Text Docs tab. A one-page project summary is available on the Text Docs tab. The PennDOT project summary report includes general project information for the project file, the drilling contractor, the inspectors, drilling information, the number of each sample type taken, a list of the lab tests performed for soils and the number of each test performed, a list of the lab tests performed for rock, and the number of each test performed. The report also has the S number of the structures on the project. This is a sample PennDOT project summary report. This is a screenshot showing the Site Maps tab. The Site Maps tab is currently under development. Look for instructions regarding functionality of the Site Maps tab at a later date. This is a screenshot showing the Data Export tab. The Data Export tab is not currently used.